Hello friends, tonight we are back with another story so you can sleep easier. One day, a wealthy man took his young son to a village to show him how poor the people there were. They spent a day and a night in a humble villager's home. On the way back, the father asked his son, "What did you think of our trip?" The boy replied, "It was great, Dad." The father then asked, "Did you pay attention to how they live?" The boy answered, "Yes, Dad." "And what did you learn from this trip?" the father asked. The boy thought for a moment and then said, "I realized that we have one dog at home, but they have four. We have a fountain in our yard, but they have a river that never ends. We have decorative lanterns, but they have the stars. Our yard is enclosed by walls, but their garden stretches infinitely." Hearing his son's words, the father was speechless. Then the boy added, "Thank you, Dad. You showed me how poor we truly are. When I was young and thinking about marriage, my mother insisted that I marry a religious, someone who would be my lifelong companion and support. Based on these criteria, she suggested several girls from among our relatives and neighbors, but unfortunately, I was only searching for beauty. Time passed, and one day, I saw the girl I was looking for on the street. In a single glance, I fell in love. I followed her and found her home. Eventually, we got married. My wife was beautiful, but she was neither modest nor religious. I loved her and did everything for her. When she said our house should be in an upscale neighborhood, I agreed. When she wanted to study, I supported her completely, ensuring she had every comfort to continue her education. I even gave up my motorcycle and bought her a car. Days passed, but she changed more and more. She became irritable, constantly picking fights over trivial things. Her attention was always on her phone, and I kept waiting for her to return to being the wife I once knew. Then, one night, she sat across from me and spoke of divorce. Later, I discovered that she had fallen in love with a classmate. She told me we were not meant for each other, that I was uneducated and too thin for her taste. I opposed the divorce, humbling myself and begging her, not just for my own sake but for our child as well. I pleaded with her not to speak of separation, but she grew angry. Finally, she struck me and left. Now, I understand what my mother meant. A true partner is one who supports you through life, not just someone who looks beautiful for a time. She was my companion for a while, but not my supporter. And now, she seeks another. One day, a man and a woman were involved in a serious car accident. Their vehicles were severely damaged, but miraculously, both of them survived unharmed. As they stepped out of their wrecked cars, the woman turned to the man and said, "Oh, how interesting, you're a man. Look at our cars, completely destroyed. But we're safe. This must be a sign from God that we were meant to meet this way and start a peaceful life together." Excited, the man responded, "Yes, I completely agree. It must be a sign." Then the woman continued, "Look, another miracle. My car is completely wrecked, but this bottle of liquor is untouched. Surely, God wanted this bottle to remain intact so we could celebrate this blessed accident." She handed the bottle to the man. He nodded in agreement, opened it, and drank half of it. Then, he returned the bottle to her. The woman closed the bottle and handed it back to the man. Surprised, he asked, "Aren't you going to drink?" She smiled and replied, "No. I think I'll wait for the police." A school was taking students on a trip by bus. As they traveled, the bus approached a tunnel with a sign that read, "Maximum height, 3 meters." The bus was also 3 meters tall, but since the driver had traveled this route before, he confidently entered the tunnel. However, the roof of the bus scraped against the tunnel ceiling, producing a terrible sound before stopping midway inside. After the initial shock, the driver and supervisors got out, worried about the situation. Upon inspection, they discovered that a new layer of asphalt had been added to the road, causing this issue. Everyone started brainstorming solutions. Some suggested removing the asphalt, others pulling the bus out with a heavy-duty vehicle, but nothing seemed to work. Then, a young boy stepped off the bus and confidently said, I know how to solve this problem. One of the supervisors replied, go back inside with your classmates. The boy, undeterred, responded, don't underestimate me because of my age. Remember, even a tiny needle can burst a huge balloon. Intrigued by his words, the supervisor asked, all right, what's your solution? The boy explained. Last year, at an exhibition, my teacher taught us how to pass through tight spaces. He said that to have a gentle and sensitive soul, we must empty ourselves of pride, arrogance, greed, and jealousy. Only then can we pass through narrow paths and reach God. Asterisk. The supervisor asked, and how does that relate to this bus? The boy smiled and replied, if we apply this principle to the bus, we just need to deflate its tires to lower its height, allowing it to pass through the tunnel. They followed his advice, let some air out of the tires, and the bus successfully made it through. The lesson? Emptying ourselves of arrogance, pride, hypocrisy, and envy is the key to overcoming life's narrow paths. Lightbulb sparkles.